problem seems to be is that there is such a dichotomy between the star. Quickly hit them and he said, we'll do our own photos. And I came back home and I said, I met some fraud filmmaker of mine with a group of very close friends also. I know that that is a shot I didn't do well. So particularly when that scene is coming, I'm thinking, when you work in Hollywood, there's a completely different discipline from how we were. And the hierarchy is missing. Why should we be cast just because of our ethnicity?
Good afternoon to everyone. It's such a honor and privilege for me to be sitting here today because I'm with one of India's most gracious legend. I was with her 10 years back as a rookie, and I was telling her yesterday, I hope I made some progress over the years. Shabana ji, I'm sure you're on your way to your 75th years of glory. So 50 is just there. You're just about 3-4 there. You still have another 25 years to go. And so my first question, which I think all of us would like to know is, 50 years of Indian cinema, so many national awards, international accolades, inspiring people, being so relevant. What's your mind space right now? What do you feel? What are you feeling right now?
Gratitude. Really, truly, I feel gratitude for being born the daughter of my parents, Kafi Azmi and Kafi, the values that I learned from them, then also to my film career, which really was a result of the fact that I went to the Film and Television Institute and was exposed to a kind of cinema I had never seen before. So I don't think I would have been the actor I am had I not gone through that training. And then in a way, it was, of course, all the values of my parents who believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change, plus the very meaningful films that I was doing that led me into moving beyond just film into the world which I had known from my parents and in which I felt that in my own little way, I could make a difference. So I started with the slum dwellers in Mumbai. It was something that used to bother me very, very greatly. There was also a poem of my father's that used to inspire me with that. And then after that, you see, once you enter the home, then it's the woman, then it's the child, then it's the health, then it's the family well-being. It's not one little strain that you can pick up. And in that process, I am truly, truly thankful that we have managed to build 50,000 families' homes for free in the city of Mumbai through my organization, Nivara Haq. So that's there for you to see. And now I continue to work in an NGO that was founded by my father, Kafi Azmi, with women. And I have seen Mijwan, it's called Mijwan Welfare Society. And through that journey, I think every experience that I've had, good or bad, has enriched my life because I do believe an artist's resource base has to be life itself. If you're divorced from life, how can you portray any person's emotion or experience truthfully? The problem seems to be is that there is such a dichotomy between the star and the actor that the actor needs to be grounded. The actor needs to be able to travel by third-class train, take a stand in a queue, learn all that. And an actor is just secluded by a concentric circle of people who prevent life from entering the actor's space, the star's space. And most of it is also necessary because they do need, particularly in our country, that kind of thing. But wo jo contradiction hai na, I think that's really what needs to be resolved within our film industry so that the concept of holistic wellness that you call can be achieved.
We're talking of an era of disruption, but I think you were well beyond your times, whether it be movie like Fire or Makhri. You did movies which I think no other actor was willing to, immediately agree. So what was that mind space that got you into saying, hey, what, I'm still doing it? Because that was disruptive at that time, at that point.
I didn't think of it as disruptive. I thought of it as a film that had moved me very deeply, a script that had moved me very deeply. And I figured at that time that, firstly, we must understand that India is not a monolith. Not everybody thinks in the same way. So some people would be moved, some would be very angry, some would want to brush it under the carpet, but a conversation would start. And I think that's very important, particularly when you are in a medium as effective as cinema can be, to do that. When it comes to Mandi, you saw a little glimpse of it. I realized that it was a children's film and I would have great fun doing it. And so I worked very hard on getting the makeup right. And I would do things, and all the time there were people coming in and going out. And one day my husband Javed walked in and he said,
Did he recognize you?
Sorry?
Did he recognize you in the sets of Makhri?
Well, he did a little more than recognize me, because he said, but you're playing a witch, na? Just go as you are. Why all this makeup? So that's what he did.
And how many days you didn't talk to him after that?
He does that all the time. So it keeps me in very good humor, let me tell you.
So I must tell you all a very sweet anecdote. She was just 21 years old. She was a girl always in her jeans and t-shirt. She decided to wear a sari with a big bindi, all of 21. She walks into Shyam Benegar's office hoping for a role in first Ankur. So how did that happen? Did you know that you had to go like that with your plucked eyebrows, or did you just take a chance?
It really was, it was really something that just happened. Actually, my classmate, Zarina Wahab, she was staying with us at the time because she didn't have a home in Mumbai. And the assistant director came to actually ask her to do the role that Priya Tendulkar was doing. And then he was somebody that I knew from college. So he said, why don't you come and meet Shyam Benegal? And I said, who is he? And so then I asked around, and Rishikesh Mukherjee, who is also my examiner, I asked him, and he said, Shyam Benegal is a very good documentary filmmaker. I think you should go. So I just went. And for some strange reason, I don't know why I wore a sari, because in those days, I thought that every time somebody came to meet me, I should dress like a modern girl, which means wear a hat, look completely ridiculous, and pout and things like that. But for some reason, I walked in like that. And I walked in with a sari, and he asked me a couple of questions, and I said, yes, ye wo wo. And then finally he said, do you have some photographs of yours? And so I showed him these photos, and he quickly hid them, and he said, we'll do our own photos. And I came back home, and I said, I met some fraud filmmaker who is saying that he's going to cast me not only in this film, but also another film. I don't know. 18 days later, I was actually shooting for Ankur.
Amazing. When I saw that, the video clip, the movie that was played on you, I think there's no doubt. There was just no doubt.
Yeah, it is a lovely film.
Yeah. So I'm sure you have encountered many fan moments. People must be looking at it, Shabana, and literally fainting. But you had a fan moment with Meena Kumari. when you were 12? Tell
This
some
is
of that.
really much more of an anecdote than really, but I will talk about it since you did. Because I used to think that Meena Kumari was a great actress, and I got to know that an uncle of mine, who was the writer, was going to meet her. So I said, I want to meet her too. So, and I had fever. So he said, okay, come along. I was, I think, all of 13 or 14 or something. And I went to her house and he said she's got fever. And she touched my forehead and she said, Arey, itni bukhar mein aa gayi hai bachchi. For 1 week after that, I did not wash my forehead because she's touched it. But it's much more drama than that. Aisa kuch tha nahi actually.
I've read somewhere that you said acting is reacting. So I think you've done so much of movie with Mr. Nasiruddin Shah. So this professional thought that when I see him, it just an actor is a reaction to acting as a reaction. So tell us a little more about that.
Firstly, acting and acting on screen is such a collaborative process that it really can never become just the actor's vehicle. The actor's vehicle is the stage, because once you're in theater, then you don't have to listen to anything that's happened. You just do your own thing. But over here, you're working with a whole team of people. And if you are trying to capture what is called the truth of the moment, then it is extremely important that you look into your co-actor, and if the co-actor is telling the truth, you have to do nothing but to react. You don't have to act, you only have to react. And that, I think, professionally trained actors learn over the years, but always, of course, if you're doing work with real actors, then your work becomes less than half of it. So acting is reacting not only to just that moment, but reacting to life, I think. Reacting to stimulus, reacting to stimuli which are beyond your immediate interest. That's very important. People think कि अच्छा एक्टिंग करेंगे तो अब सिर्फ एक्टिंग के बारे में सोचेंगे. कैसे सोच सकते हैं आप? Until and unless you're interested beyond that, you spread yourself thin. You go and watch theater. You go to music concerts. You go to art, to painting exhibitions, all of which might not be of any interest to you at all. But that's expanding who you are. So it is expanding the person that you are that will make you a better actor.
Shabana, you also, let's talk of Earth, which got you a national award. The movie was a lot about disrupting relationships, at that
Sorry?
point of disrupting relationship, husband and wife relationship, and the third girl came in and all that. And then I also saw that there were a lot of ladies who queued up in your house thinking that you're going to solve their problems. So did the seed of activism take place from that time onwards?
When we started working on the film, firstly, Mahesh Bhatt and I are very good friends. And we both said this must be the end of the film. And then when we went along and the film was being made, everybody said it's very good. But the distributor said, you can't keep this end. A Indian woman not accepting her husband's apology and walking out on her own won't run a day. But then we said, no, this is the reason we are making the film. And the film became a huge success. So oftentimes, I don't think the film producers are in sync with how ready the audience is for change. And I've said this so many times that after that film, there were hordes of women walking into me, not as fans to star, but in sisterhood, expecting me to resolve all their marital conflicts. And here I was merely an actor. But that's what really then led me into the women's movement and my interest in that.
When you see your movies, probably 2, 3 decades back, are you critical of your work?
I'm very critical of my work. I am very, very critical of my work. And if I am watching a film of mine with a group of very close friends also, I know that that is a shot I didn't do well. So particularly when that scene is coming, I'm saying, popcorn counter, would you like some coffee? I try to distract them so that they don't get a chance to see that. I am, of course, very critical of my work, yes. Which I think all artists must be. Complacence is the worst thing that you can do.
So you're so relevant. Even, I mean, you're doing amazing work not only as an actor, as an activism activist. So is relevance? Is it an overrated word in terms of occupational wellness? What do you think about that?
No, can you phrase that differently? I don't know what you mean.
So when you say that, this person is relevant, even at when the person is 60 or 70 or 80 or 85, so do you think they use it unnecessarily all the time and say, what do you mean relevant? This is what my life is all about. Or they see relevance with awe and they say, oh my God, even when this person is 85, 90, this person
You
is
know,
so
I think the
relevant.
problem is with our relationship with age. There is something in us which makes it that the older you start getting, the less relevant you become. This is a societal thing that we feel, and then we impose it on ourselves. We feel कि अच्छा भैया अब सब कुछ हो गए, बच्चे बढ़ गए, काम हो गया, we have retired and that's it. We ourselves tell ourselves that we are retired, and that leads to the feeling of relevant or not relevant. My father was 82 when he passed away. He had been paralyzed for more than 30 years after a brain stroke. He could walk with the help of a stick, but his left hand and his left leg were paralyzed for life. But he decided to go back to the village in which he was born, which he realized was a village frozen in time. He wasn't in politics, he didn't have any help. Single handedly, he worked till the day he passed away. And today, Mijwa is a model village. It was done by one person. I don't think he was thinking of it as this will make me relevant. This is what I want to do, and pursue that, whatever it is. Don't cast value judgments on this is more relevant than that is more relevant. Remaining relevant will happen as a byproduct of the confidence that you have in yourself, that as long as you are alive, you are going to be doing what you want to do. Of course, age will bring with it problems. Of course, age will bring with it all of that. But you have the spirit. I believe each one of us can be a catalyst for change. Every single one of us. What we lack is the motivation. And what we believe is, poor little me, what can I do? There's such a huge world, there is so many problems. Okay, so you don't have to deal with Donald Trump and what he's doing with India and China and all of that, but there's something at a smaller level that is happening which you can do something about it. Do that. Care for one person beyond your immediate family, and you will see how much difference it can make.
That's so well said. I think she deserves a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
So well said. And I thought you didn't understand the question. Okay, let's go back to your childhood. You tell us about growing up in a commune where you had 8 families with 1 bathroom. You didn't have money that time because I think your dad, a communist, was earning 40,000 and
That's
most
right,
of
yeah.
his money going to the party. But still, politics, arts surrounded your life, that you actually never felt that money was anything or you lacked anything. And especially, okay, there are 2 questions. I would love to know about your childhood and the fact that you said that I wasn't very, you would always project yourself from this New Yorker with your fancy parents and all that, till once someone saw your father, Kasmi Saab, in a concert and said, but he doesn't remind you of your father. I think this was for the school or something where you'd taken someone else. So do tell us about that.
Well, firstly, I was sent to a convent school, and like every other child in a convent school, I wanted a blue doll. I wanted a white doll with blue eyes and blonde hair. And my father came and gave me a black doll at the age of 7 and told me black is beautiful too. So obviously, I thought he was a queer kettle of fish. Another thing that I saw is that he used to constantly be writing. So I used to think, what is a poet? A poet is a euphemism for somebody who does no work. But then, of course, one started growing and all that. But I'm going back to the question that we had absolutely no money. We were living in a commune, 8 rooms, sharing just one bathroom and one toilet. But what we celebrated was India's, you, you know, everything that to me is important, India's composite culture, India's secularism, India's the very very foundation that we are built on, I think, is that we are a multi-religious, multilingual, so many societies, and all the contradictions that come from being so. And that was the richness that we got. And I think that's what has steadied us, that has kept us in good state. This is something that continues to bother me about what is happening today when we confuse that being being national and being Indian. Being Indian in itself means that there is place for everybody. Indian cannot be defined by just one person. India is a country that has so many complexities, and all of that is India, and that's why it's so beautiful. And that's what I think we need to redefine, because there's being a bit battle going on over there.
The essence.
Yeah.
So pursue your passion and everything will fall in place. I think we've all heard this phrase, but I think it's so applicable in your life because you're a person who not only did parallel cinema, but you also did commercial cinema. And I was reading that you're so passionate about parallel cinema that at times you would, A, not take professional fees, B, you would actually put in money inside so that the parallel film would see the day of light. So tell us about how interesting was that,
It was not something that we even thought about. I mean, yes, there were lots and lots of films we did in which we didn't charge any money at all. But it's much easier for an actor, because if an actor is also doing mainstream cinema, then you can well afford to let that money go. But what is it about the technicians? The technicians, why should they give up their money, right? Now, when it comes to making a film, if you feel that this film really needs to be made, and suddenly there no longer is any money for it, so we would pool in and we would give the money for that film to be completed. I don't think that's something that would happen today.
Amazing. So, how important is purpose in your life for work? Purpose for the kind of movies that you make. Have you been doing movies, a lot of movies? Because I also read at one point of time you were doing like 12 movies a time. So, what was the purpose? Was it to become a big star, or was it just to send out a message? Or was there something else, the purpose behind doing what you were doing?
Purpose behind doing 12 films at one time, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, what I said is, what was the purpose behind doing so many films at one point? You should have said, no, I'm not doing all these films.
Everybody was doing so many films. Everybody was doing so many films at that time. There wasn't any great histrionics that was expected of you. As long as you knew your lines and you could speak your lines, you were okay. There were times when we would really move from a 7 to there would be a 7 to 2 shift and then a 2 to 10 shift, and we would go from one to the other, quite not even knowing which film we are doing. But all that we had to do was just speak our lines. That has changed. In today's mainstream cinema, also, when you see the work of an actor like Alia Bhatt, you see that that is a real actor. And she's not just, putting all her attention on making it look pretty, but that's also because the content of films is changing today.
Let's talk of your Hollywood stint. You worked with big names like Shirley MacLaine and Patty Schwitz in the movies Madam
Suzatska and Halo,
1988, yes.
Steven
And
Spielberg's.
yes, City
But
of
the
Joy.
thing is, when you work in Hollywood, there's a completely different discipline from how we work. Completely different discipline, and the hierarchy is missing. Here we have vanity vans, so the bigger the star, the bigger vanity van, etc., etc. It goes on. Over there, everybody gets ready in the same makeup van, because there is a head makeup artist who is seeing that everybody is correctly dressed. However big you are, that hierarchy is completely missing. Another thing that I felt when I was working on Steven Spielberg's Halo, which I was delighted, was it was a microcosm of the world. There were Polish people, there were black people, there were Asian people, there were people from all over the world. Now, I remember many, many years ago when I first did Madame Suzatska, I was the only Asian on the set. And Asian actors for so long have been saying, why should we be cast just because of our ethnicity? Why don't we have colorblind casting? And now finally, there is colorblind casting. So that is something that we've come a long way. And I think the purpose of film is to be able to create a willing dispensation of disbelief. And if you can do that, then you're successful.
Have you ever had this fear of failure?
Oh, of course. Of course, one fears failure. But, to not do anything because you're going to fail doesn't make sense, because all of life, there will be some successes and there will be some failures. And if you get stunted because you are so afraid of failure, you will never be able to take leaps. And so when I have failed, and I've failed several times, it's not only just once, but I have accepted, I tried, failed, go on, put on your shoes and go again. Don't be frightened of failure. Failure is inevitable, and it also can, if you overcome it, to try and take risks. It's in taking risks, it's in what you call disruptions, that things can emerge which you wouldn't even have imagined before that.
So, have you ever done any movies, I mean, going from fear to failure, movies that have been actually successful, but now that you think back, you cringe and like, oh my God. Have you done movies like that?
Yes, of course. Of course, I've done movies like that, and in which I was terrible. But that's part of my growing up. But now I'll tell you about one thing that I have. People come to me and say that, you refuse film. On what basis do you refuse a film and all that? But forget it. I'm with a friend of mine, Bhavna Sumaya, and she's sitting with me in a film, and we're watching a film, and I say, thank God I didn't do that role. And she says, were you offered? I say, no. She said, then what are you thankful about? In my head only, I'm saying, achha, many year old. So it's something that's going on in my head.
Shabana, you married to Javed Saab for nearly 40 years now, and a very beautiful marriage. Looks very happy from outside. I'm sure it's a very beautiful and happy marriage. I have read something that, especially like all seasoned couples out here, uh, there are moments where you fight and then you handle the situation by saying, drop it. Tell us about that, because I'm sure a lot of us are going to learn from that.
I cannot emphasize enough the importance of these magical words, drop it. When two people, and really about in marriage, in friendship, in anything, but particularly about marriage, we decided that when we are in the midst of a nasty fight, which seems and threatens to become even worse, one of us will say, drop it, and the other will drop it. Drop it means not sulk. Drop it means not wanting to cry and all that. Just drop it. Magically drop it. And it just changes the whole equation, because then you're not sulking and you're not going on for days feeling dreadful. But in 4 or 5 days, when you're not feeling as hot headed as you were feeling then, you talk about it and you are able to talk about it rationally. I really think it is the best, the best thing to do if we are able to drop it. But drop it, but the bill say, not pretend to drop it.
Even if you would need to say the final word, and even if you know that you're right, and even if you feel that I have to win, this is my moment, you're wrong, then you still do drop it.
Why is it about winning? Why is it about winning and why is it about losing? Javed also says something which is very interesting. He said, in a relationship with anybody, there cannot be 100% equality all the time. Sometimes one person will have an edge over the other, and at other times, the other person will have an edge over the other. All the time, ये जो एक concept बन गया कि no, equality means this. No, I'm sorry. There is much more than that in equality, and the whole definition of equality. I mean, can you imagine there was somebody who walked into my brother-in-law's house, and I was ironing Javed's kurta, and she said, "What are you doing?" So I said, "I'm ironing Javed's kurta." You call yourself a feminist and you are ironing his kurta? I said, excuse me, what does that have to do with feminism? But it was a concept that is just, being dropped without actually understanding what it is. And I also don't understand women who say, I'm not a feminist, huh? As if it's an accusation or a gali. What do you mean you're not a feminist? Samjho to sahi ki tum kya kar rahe ho? You're still associating it with the bra burning women. They did it at a time when they had to do something very disruptive in society to get taken note of. But it's not like that anymore. We are still fighting our battles. Women are still fighting their battles. But it's not that. That is the definition. And I think over the years, I think we are becoming much more gender sensitive. I think even in our careers and what was expected of women. I remember just about 10 years ago, somebody from a very big corporate company from America told me that, we have to work twice as hard to prove we are half as good. And I did not have the guts, because I was at a corporate job, to take my son for a tooth appointment to the dentist. So what I did is I carried an extra bag. I put my jacket on my table. I left bag and I moved out, because it was a big building. So people kept thinking that she was working, and she went and she got her a little baby to the dentist and come back. It's ridiculous. Why should you have to play that charade? And so everything that is happening today in terms of flexi timings and all that, there's a big improvement in that.
Continuing on relationships, during the shooting on Monday, You mentioned that there was so much of camaraderie between colleagues. You tell of an incident where you were shopping and that there was a poor man going in a cycle and you got him to take off his shirt so that the hero can have his shirt and play a more artistic role for the movie. And you feel that it's no longer there. So tell us about that.
No, of course, today, the whole thing is very stratified. It doesn't happen. Sometimes in theater, it happens, but it is so clearly, uh, you know, places are given to people. Ye iska kaam hai, ye iska kaam hai, ye iska kaam hai. So it doesn't happen. Doesn't matter. Other things are happening. Content is finally people are realizing that it is content that works because there have been so many films with top stars which haven't worked and so many little films have worked. So it's the content that we as an industry have to come to terms with, and that's the area that we are struggling with. But I do not hold only the film industry responsible for it, because tell me, why is it that a film that everybody says has too much violence, too much sex, it's awful, and why does that film become such a huge success? It's because people are watching it. So if you want good cinema, then I am sorry, you will have to make the effort to go and buy a ticket and watch a film that's trying to say something different. तो दोनों का हाथ है.
You also mentioned, talking of films, the illusion. I'm going to just read this because it's your quote. I don't want to get it wrong. The illusion of first time for previously rehearsed lines and to be present in the moment. I think two very powerful lines. What made you phrase these phrases?
I'm talking about acting, because really, to me, the most difficult thing in acting is to speak previously rehearsed lines. See, you've rehearsed them 12 times and now you know them, but you have to give the impression that you've just spoken it the way you are in life, not that you are remembering lines that you've said. And that can only happen if you are present in the moment. Now, if there is an architect and making a plan, if the architect is not in that moment, how is that person going to be able to do the best that he can? So, being present in the moment is something that we have to train ourselves, because we're being assaulted by so many things all the time, all the professionals, all the relationships. What we are doing, be present in that moment. Don't allow other things also to come and affect it. Be present in that moment and it will come out.
Wonderfully put. Uh, it's so nice today when we see Cannes, though it's supposed to be an exhibition of films, and that's where Cannes was all about. But today you see more of fashion and you see a lot of red carpet events. How was your experience way back in the 70s when you and Ms. Smita Patil went to attend the Cannes?
I've said it so many times. I'm sure you all must have heard it. Haven't you heard about my Cannes experience? Do you want me to repeat it actually? Okay, all right. So what happened is that this was very early, 76 or 77. We came in, Sham Benegal, Smita Patil and myself, and at that time we were allowed only $8 to take with us abroad. And we realized all the advertising that was supposed to come, the posters and all that, none of them had come. And here we are in a festival that's only about parading and the products, and the advertising. And so we said, now what do we do? So Sham Benegal, being an advertising person, said, Shabana and Smita, wear your best Kanjivaram sarees, wear your bindi from 8 o'clock in the morning and just walk up and down and just parade up and down. So we said, all right, and we did that. And every time we did that, nobody had seen a woman in a sari. And they would just turn around and say, where are you from? We are from India. We've got a film at 6 o'clock this evening. Please, will you come and watch it? And that is how it worked. We got a house full. So that was advertising Sham Benegal. So that was not at all the world that Cannes has today. And once I was really, I mean, it's got other things that are happening, but really, movie festival should be about the quality of cinema in it. And now so many other industries have come. And I remember once they had said that you can't walk the red carpet uh, if you're not in heels. And I wrote a very angry letter. And I said, how dare you say something like that? Lots of other people also joined up. And so now some of them walk barefoot to teach them a lesson. Or nahi to kya?
Okay, tell me
Bakwas.
how many of you have heard the story before? Raise your hands. See, there's just 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Okay, Shabana, you have become such a legend and inspiration for many, including me. When the curtains come down, the lights fade, and what is Shabana going to be remembered as?
She played the game.
I like it. Priya, do we have time for little rapid fire? 10, 15, 40 minutes, 40 seconds. I'll make it quick. The timer's here, so I'm seeing the timer.
खत्म हो गया अभी खत्म हो गया हाँ बस अभी बाप I want to listen to other people.
Achha, ek minute. You can't go away from my rapid fire. So I'm going to. Okay. What's your guilty pleasure that keeps you well, whether binge watching, street food, or midnight poetry?
An entire bar of fruit and nut chocolate.
If your life were a wellness retreat, what would the 3 core activities be on the agenda?
Sorry, what did you say?
If your life was a wellness retreat, what are the 3 things that you would do for your wellness?
Be with nature.
Be with nature. Be surrounded with snake plants, adeniums. You were asking me about snake plants.
There's something very beautiful. I still don't know. Why is it that the color green in nature gives you such a feeling of peace? What is it? Is it something in the color or is it something that we've learned? I don't know. There are physicists, there are scientists, they can answer that question. But just the feeling of being out of a concrete jungle and be amongst nature is the most healing thing that I can do to me.
If not an actor, you would be?
A poor actor struggling to be an actor.
A co-star that made you laugh a lot on sets?
Many of them, but one of them, the most recent one is Ranveer Singh when I was doing Rocky Aur Rani Ki. He's a very, very funny guy. Very funny. Yeah.
Theatre or cinema?
You know, I think an actor who can do both theatre and cinema is the most fortunate, really, because even if you look in Hollywood and you see some of the very big actors, like Ralph Fiennes is somebody I find just mesmerizing in cinema. He comes to London and for £250 a week, he does theatre because that is the best discipline that can happen. To myself, I think I am basically a cinema actor, but I do theatre because the challenge that it gives me and the adrenaline rush that I get from it is something that excites me and helps, I think. And also, my God, the risk of failure because you don't get another chance.
I just have 2 questions. Describe yourself in 3 words.
अब मैं अपने मुंह से कितनी तारीफ करूं ना अगर मेरे दोस्त हैं यहाँ आप लोग मेरे लिए कुछ वर्ड्स इस्तेमाल कर देते
Chalo, audience, yell out 3 words for Shabana ji.
Now you're making it very tough. I was just thinking that Jayanti and Shashi and Barkha would say. Well, loyal, yes.
Loyal.
Then? Sorry?
Accomplished.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And Barkha?
Feisty.
All 3 I will accept. Thank you. Thank you, friends, for doing that.
And the last question is the best compliment Javed Saab has ever given you. We want to hear that.
I'm still waiting for it. Maybe on my 75th birthday it will come.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we get another big round of applause? And of course, a big thank you to Ms. Shabana Azmi for being such a big part of the conclave all these years and for spending so much time with us. And Dr. Renuka, thank you so much for that. A quick picture in front, ladies, and we'll move on to our next session. Thank you. With Colonel David, if you would do the honors, and we have a quick snapshot of this lovely conversation. If you would please, thank you.